Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss the decision making structures in Python. In our applications, we want to take many decisions to execute the various alternatives provided and to select any one of the alternative to execute. For example, if you are accepting the age of a person as input and to decide whether the person is eligible to vote or not. So you can have a condition. What is that condition? If the age of the person is 18 and above, then you can choose to execute that, choose to allow that particular person to vote. If that person's age is below 18, then deny voting. So this is actually the decision taking place. So there are two alternatives provided, whether to allow the person to vote or to deny the person to vote. So these are the two situations or two alternatives you are provided to, and you want to choose any one out of these two. And here the condition plays an important role. That means if the condition evaluates to true, then you can choose to execute the first alternative, otherwise to execute the second alternative. So in such cases, the decision making structures are very useful in our applications. Usually, in Python, we have various if statements, various forms of if statements to implement this decision making or conditional behavior. And these if statements will execute one or more conditions to evaluate, and based on the evaluation's result, it will choose any one of the alternative to be executed. Mostly, if the condition evaluates to true, then anyone will be executed. Any one alternative will be executed. The condition that evaluates to false will not be, or the block that is actually belonging to the condition that evaluates to false will not be executed. So this is the basic nature of the decision making structures in Python. Now let us move to the basic decision making structure in Python, that is simple if statement. So simple if statement is actually have it is provided with one expression, one condition, and if the condition evaluates to true, then a set of statements will be executed, and if the condition evaluates to false, then there is no alternative provided for it. So only the condition in which that only the condition which is evaluating true is considered, and evaluating to false is not considered at all. So the syntax is the keyword to open an if block, and then expression is actually a condition that evaluates to true. Then the colon denotes the block of statements that belong to that particular if. Now you see, once the colon is actually given and the enter key is pressed, then automatically the cursor is moving to one tab space from the current position of the cursor, or from the beginning of that page. So it is to denote that particular set of statements with that indentation. That means with one tab space from that initial position of, or initial beginning of the cursor, or initial position of the page, or belonging to that if statement. Now, so here the indentation is actually very important, because in the other programming languages the curly braces are used to denote the indentation, but in in Python there is no indentation braces. Only that space, the tab space, is actually denoting the indentation. Now, next decision making structure is actually if else. So if else is actually the updation with the if statement, or upgradation of if statement. That means if the condition is evaluating to true, then a set of statements will be executed. But if the condition is evaluated to false, then there is no alternative provided for this false condition in case of the simple if statement. But this if else is providing another alternative if the condition is evaluating to false. So if the condition evaluates to true, or the expression evaluates to true, then a set of statements will be executed. If the condition evaluates to false, then another set of statements will be executed. Right? So this is what actually if else is. Now next one is if elif and else. So in the other programming languages it's called as else if later. It's else if later. But in Python it's called if elif and else. So there will be multiple conditions to be checked, and if any one of the condition evaluates to true, then the corresponding block of statements will be executed. So here, for every condition, for example, initially it starts with an if, and there will be condition. If that condition evaluates to true, then that set of statements will be executed. if not, then again it will go for another condition. Elif. Elif means actually it's a short form of else if. So that means if the first condition is not evaluating to true, then check for another condition. Elif expression 2, that if that is evaluating to true, then set of statements that belong to that elif will be executed. If that condition is not evaluating to true, then another condition, for example, expression 3, then if that is evaluating to true, then the set of statements belong to expression 3 will be evaluated. Right, like this you can have n number of elif between this if and the last default block else. So if none of the condition given in if for any elif blocks evaluates to true, then finally compulsorily else block will be executed. That means all the statements in the else block will be executed. So this is the structure of if and elif else structure. Now let us move to the program examples. For example, I am accepting the age of a person as input. So let me take that as an example. Let me accept the age of a person as input. So age of the person is considered as with the name, variable name age. Then I am accepting the input from the user, right? And I'm giving a description. Enter your age. Enter your age. Now what will happen is this will accept your age as input, but in the form of string. Input is usually accepting the inputs in the form of string, but age is in the form of number, or it's a numerical value. So what you want to do is you want to convert this input into a numerical equivalent, especially the no, it should be a whole number, right, without any fractional part. So let it be an integer. So I'm converting it into integer. I'm converting the input I'm getting from the user into integer by passing the value or the input I'm getting from the user through input statement to this int function. So int function is actually accepting whatever entered by the user through keyboard in the form of string, and it is converting it into integer value. And after converting it into integer value, it is assigned to the age variable, right? Now age is available in the hand. What's next? You want to take a decision whether this person is eligible to vote or not. So it's based on the condition whether his age is greater than or equal to 18. So in this case, you have to go for decision making. So there are only two alternatives: whether that person is eligible to vote or the person is not eligible to vote. In this case, we can go for an decision making structure that is providing exactly two alternatives, right? So what is that? It is if else, right? So we can start with if keyword, then there should be an expression. What is the expression here? Whether the age of the person is greater than or equal to 18. Now colon denotes the block of if statements. Now press enter, automatically the indentation is provided. After that, you you choose to do what you want to do when the age of the person is greater than or equal to 18. Let us print that eligible to vote. Eligible to vote. Now the person is eligible to vote, right? So now this is simple if statement. That means there is no else part, only if part is there. If the person is actually 18 and above, then you can allow the person to vote. But if the person is not having, or it's not older than 18, right, then he is not eligible to vote. So but there is no alternative for it, but we can provide an alternative through else. So when I am going to give an else in this program, after this print statement I am pressing enter. You see the cursor is in the same if block, right? So it is following the auto indentation. That means it is already the cursor is in this if block only, but the else should not be in this if block. It should be another block. It should be another block. So just skip the auto indentation by pressing a backspace, and now your cursor is again ready to open another block. Now give else colon, and after that again press enter. It is opening a new block. Now the person is not eligible to vote, so just print it. So print not eligible to vote, right? So that's all. So accept a person's age as input and convert it into integer and assign it to an integer variable, and check for a condition or expression whether the age of the person is greater than or equal to 18. If the age of the person is greater than or equal to 18, then let him vote. Else, don't let him vote. So these are the two alternatives provided. So here we used this if and else block. Okay, right? So now let us run the program. So run module, click OK, and it is asked you to save the file. For example, if demo.py. This is the name of the file I give. Now it is asking to enter the age, right? It is asking to enter the age. Let me give, for example, 22, eligible to vote, right? So now let us give another input. Okay, let us run one more time and let us give another input. For example, 12, not eligible to vote. Now there are two alternatives provided, and out of these two alternatives, any one is to be executed. Now, if else is actually tested. Now let us go for uh, if else if, or if elif else later. Okay. For this, I am choosing another application or another problem. Let me have three values. Okay, let me have three values. For example, a equal to or a equal to integer of input of enter the first number and enter the first number here. Once you enter the first number, now next one is enter the second number. So b equal to int of input of enter the second number. Now third one is c is equal to again int of input enter the third number. Now there are three values in our hand, and I want to decide whether which is the largest number. Which is the largest number? So here there are three possibilities, right? Whether A can be largest, or B can be largest, or C can be largest, right? So three alternatives there. So what is the first alternative? A is largest. When A is largest, which condition is to be solved or satisfied to decide that A is largest? If A is greater than B and A is greater than C, then A is largest. Else, A is not largest means other two possibilities are there, right? B may be largest, right? In that case, if B is greater than A and B is greater than C, then B is largest. Suppose if A and B are not largest, in that case surely C is largest, right? So we can go for we have three alternatives. Actually, we have three. That means above three above two alternatives, right? That means more than two alternatives. In this case, we cannot use else if else block, right? If else structure, because if else is providing only two alternatives. But here we want to have three alternatives. Okay, whether A can be largest, or B can be largest, or C can be largest. In this case, we can go for if, elif, and else structure. So what is the first condition is if A is greater than B and A is greater than C, right? So A is greater than B, right? After this, and A is greater than C. So here in Python, if you want to combine two conditions and you are expecting that both the conditions to be evaluated to true to get the final conditions result true. Suppose you are providing two conditions, A greater than B and A greater than C, right? In this case, to decide that A is the largest number, both the conditions should be satisfied. A should be greater than B and A should be greater than C. So in this cases, when you want to have two conditions or two or more conditions, and all the conditions should be evaluated true to get the final result true, you want to use the operator AND. So that means A greater than B and A greater than C. Both should be satisfied, right? So A greater than B and A greater than C. In this case, you can say that, right? You can say that A is greatest, right? So A or A is largest. So A then is largest, right? Now, suppose if A is not largest, then B may be largest or C may be largest. So let us take B is largest. Then what is the condition for B is to be largest, right? So if that first A is not largest, that first two conditions will not be evaluated true. In that case, let us go for another set of conditions. So L if then B is greater than A and B is greater than C. This may be true. B may be largest. So B may be greater than A and B may be greater than C. In that case, B is largest. So second conditions are B is greater than A and B is greater than C. To decide that B is the largest, B should be greater than A and B should be greater than C. Both the conditions should be satisfied. So we are using AND between these two conditions. Now, if B is largest, print B is largest. You see, I am giving the string is largest actually in single quotes, set of single quotes, right? I'm using it in set of single quotes. But in the first case, in the first condition, or in the first if block, I gave it in double quotes. Actually, in Python, a string can be enclosed within set of single quotes, or set of double quotes, or set of triple quotes even, but not mix of any of these two. Right? One single quote and one double quote is not accepted, or one double quote and one triple quotes is not accepted. Right? So here a string can be within set of single quotes or set of double quotes or even set of triple quotes. Now let us go for the third condition. Third condition is actually A is not largest, B is not largest. Then surely C is the largest. So no need to give any condition. Simply else is saying that C is largest. So print C is largest, right? C is largest, right? So C is largest, right? So now the program is over. So it's accepting three inputs A, B, and C. All the three are actually integer numbers, and then we are deciding whether A is largest or B is largest or C is largest. In this case, if A is to be largest, then it should satisfy these two conditions. A should be greater than B and it should be greater than C. Then A is largest. Elif, suppose if both the conditions are not true, or if any one of the conditions is not true, then in that case we can check for B and whether B is greater than A or B is greater than C. Sorry, B is greater than A and B is greater than C, right? In this case, B is largest. Else, if both the conditions are not satisfied, then finally, surely C will be the largest, and we are getting it into else, and else is printing that C is largest. Now let us run the program. So run module. So it is asking for the first number, for example, 20. Second number 15 and third number 100. Now we know that 100 is the largest number, right? So let us check whether our program is working correctly or not. Yes, 100 is the largest, right? So now the program is working properly and it is giving the proper result, right? So here in this program we have discussed how to use if statements or if else statements or if else statements to apply in our programs and get the results. I hope that you understood this video or understood these programs and concept and logic, and subscribe the channel for getting more videos and press the bell button to get the notifications on uploads, and keep on watching videos. Happy programming. Thank you.